Hi everyone, and welcome to Investigations 2 and 3 in the Weather and Water kit. My name is Karen Zeminski, and I am going to be walking you through both of these investigations over the next few minutes. In this first investigation, Investigation 2, students will investigate the layers of gas that surround the Earth and develop an understanding that air is matter and that it takes up space. This is generally a very hard concept for students to understand because it's so abstract, but FOSS does a really nice job of letting the kids explore on their own and walking them through their understanding. The first part of this lesson will allow students to use syringes, without the needle tip, of course, to explore what air can do. I like to provide each pair of students with a syringe first, and I let them explore for 2 or 3 minutes. Then I introduce them to the tube and let them explore for 2 or 3 more minutes, and then the cube. And then I let them explore everything for about 4 minutes. After the activity and wrap up, don't forget to make sure that you connect this to the FOSS-Web animation. This really solidifies the student understanding. And if you look where my arrow is, you can actually grab this plunger and pull it up and down on FOSS-Web so that students can see the air being compressed and how it affects the molecular movement. The next part of the investigation will allow students to use balloons, bags, string, straws, paper clips, and tape to continue their investigation of what air is and what it can do. And last, there's an extension reading in the student guide as well. Part 2 of this investigation teaches students about the layers of the atmosphere using both pictures from the student guide and the classroom poster, which I am showing in this slide, that will be in your kit. It's also in the teacher's guide. The layers of the Earth can further be explored using the FOSS-Web feature titled Elevator to Space. This is a fun one. It's a fantastic visual aid for students in the 6th grade because it provides them with a visual of something that otherwise can't be seen with the naked eye. It's an excellent visual for ELL students as well as for special ed students and just students in general. It's just very helpful. You can follow this activity by having the students complete the questions on page 5 of the student lab notebook and then have them read A Thin Blue Veil in the student resource book. Again, this follow-up reading kind of just drives home everything that they've been discussing and exploring. Next, Investigation 3, Seasons and Sun. The idea of the Earth on its axis and the angle of the sun hitting the Earth and the intensity of energy from the sun are all concentrated central themes that are necessary for meeting state standards. Inevitably, these are the foundational type of questions that you'll see on the MCAS and the end of the year assessments. This investigation is broken down into 3 distinct parts, which are all equally important. First, students will find and record patterns of day length in various parts of the world. The student resource book has great reading that helps with this as well. But I have found that if you go online, you can get the average daylight hours for different areas of the world and print them out and have the kids kind of compare and contrast. It's also a great link to your math teacher if you wanted to collaborate on this. Second, you'll facilitate the student exploration of the Earth rotating and making a revolution around the sun. Be sure that you gather enough globes ahead of time. You'll need 4 globes, so you might want to check in with your social studies department. But if you have a smaller room and don't have much space like I do, you can try to set up the same activity in one part of the room. And for this day, I tend to do it as stations, just because it allows students the opportunity to explore what's happening here with just their group of 4 students instead of it being crowded and everybody rushing around the room. Don't forget to copy the supporting materials that you'll need from the student guide and from the teacher's guide as well as the lab notebook. It's always helpful to have these on hand so the students can refer back to them. Third, students will investigate solar angles. If you have Spanish-speaking ELL students, you can support them by helping them make the connection between the word solar and the word sun, sol, which means sun in Spanish. For the demonstration with, excuse me, for the demonstration with the flashlight, think of it kind of as building an adult-sized lightsaber. The guide tells you to do the demonstration on the floor, and I do, but I also do it on the board and trace the shapes up there as well, so that the kids have them in front of them at all times to refer back to. And finally, you can tie the unit together with the reading titled Seasons in the student guide. I like to have my kids copy the diagram at the bottom down here into their notebook as well. And it's something that they're going to be looking at again in 8th grade also. And that's it for lessons 2 and 3.